I'm now at 9,427 meters. And I've just passed Jacques Picard and Don Walsh on board the submarine Trieste, slowly
Mm-hmm.
descended into the Mariana Trench.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And I can't.
Can't stop.
Well, it's just like I want to get to the bottom.
Hi, welcome to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Thanks for joining the conversation.
I'm scrolling through this thing that is the deep sea. It's a link to a website, it's a page, where as you scroll down, it takes you deeper and deeper underwater.
Oh, okay.
And I have just hit 8,869 meters deep, and it is filling me with such anxiety. You would not believe it.
No, I
Like
believe it.
and it's amazing. Like whoever put this together, I guess this is by, I don't know, Neal somebody. Very well done. It's very elegant. But as you go and it just gets darker, and now there's like nothing, right? Many probes and submarines have been lost trying to reach the deepest parts of the ocean. This is at 9,202 meters deep. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And I can't
Stop.
Well, it's just like I want to get to the bottom, right? I'm now at 9,427 meters. And I've just passed Jacques Picard and Don Walsh on board the submarine Trieste, slowly descended into the Mariana Trench.
Yeah.
And now like on the screen, it's just the Trieste as you're going. And their goal was to reach the Challenger Deep, the deepest point in the ocean. I'm now at 9,520. I'm going to send you this link.
Oh no.
No,
Oh gosh.
it was this.
I didn't get lost like you.
No, it started, and I was just like, this is, I don't know what to make of this, right?
Right.
And as it's continued, it's become more and more fascinating. So yeah, now at 9,760 meters, there's another little thing that comes up saying, the submarine used a rebreather system that would later be used in spacecraft. There was barely enough space inside the pressure sphere for both of them. It's still on the screen. We're still descending here. Let's see. Oh, yep. Oh. The immense pressure of the deep sea means any mistake would mean certain death. Yes. And we just cleared 10,000 meters deep.
Oh,
During
boy.
the descent, one of the window panes cracked and shook the entire vessel.
Right.
Nevertheless, they continued. This is at 10,130 meters.
Oh.
It's just impossible. Even at these unfathomable depths, Jacques and Don could still see life out the window. Life can survive in unimaginable environments, and at 10,321 meters deep, you see the Hadal amphipod. And that's the thing. It shows you like these little call outs to these, like the various degrees of sea life.
Right.
I got to get to the bottom of those there. I'm sorry.
It's fine. This is fascinating, actually.
After 4 hours and 47 minutes of anxiety and claustrophobia, we have just cleared 10,790 meters. They succeeded and became the first humans to reach the deepest point in the ocean.
Ooh.
And that's the Challenger Deep. Wow. And you get to the bottom, and it is the bottom. 10,924 meters deep. And this is the deep sea made by Neal Agarwal. And it's stunning. I gotta tell you, but it was like, yeah, okay, that was it started off and I was very alarmed. I was like, I'm not sure I want to go on this ride, Troutman. What did you do? What did you do?
Thank you, Eric.
That's so him. Yeah, so how are you doing?
Well, I'm not at the bottom of the ocean, so I guess good.
That's got to be good, right?
Right, that's got to be good, I guess. I mean, now you're making me feel like, oh, we're going deeper and deeper. I feel like I was
very
in there with
claustrophobic.
you.
Here, we'll shake it
Yeah.
off.
And I'm already, that stresses me. Like the ocean in general, I have the shark phobia. Like this all stresses me out. So yeah, that I don't know if I can engage.
Yeah. So all this Titan stuff is probably not making you happy right now.
No, it's yeah, I woke up to that in the daily podcast and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. Because I don't know anything going on except for the little bit of intake I get from those few podcast things I listen to, like 5-minute things. And of course, this is a highlight one, right? So
Yeah.
it was just
it's big news.
It's big news. It's crazy. And then I yeah, not good. Not good. But I don't know. I guess this is science, right? Like exploration. And I don't know.
That's not what this was.
Well, because this is supposed to be for like adventure tours, right? Or
That's what
something.
it is.
Yeah.
It's adventure tourism. And it's like, okay. I mean, there was an interview with, I guess, one of the co-directors, founders of the company, basically saying, well, we don't want people to lose interest in the Titanic. It's like, that's never going to happen.
Oh,
But
right.
it's like that. That is a garbage argument.
Right.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. I mean,
that's definitely not going to happen. Yeah, for sure.
That was not a concern before this, and it certainly isn't going to be one after.
Yeah.
So.
James Cameron can tell you billions later that there's still an interest in the Titanic. Yeah. Pretty sure yeah. In any case, yeah, it was strange. Yeah, very strange. But I don't know. I mean, I would never be getting on a submarine like that anyway. Like at the best, like, in the Bahamas,
it's a combination of
where they're like, oh, just take the
claustrophobia
submarine and it's like you can still see it above water, like maybe like 20 feet or something, like where I'm like, okay. But yeah, I there's no way I could do it. No, there's no way.
Yeah, I had an experience when I was like 12 or 13, and I was skin diving in the Red Sea, and all these beautiful fish, and you can see I wasn't that far from the shore, but I was underwater, and I don't know what it was, but I remember I was swimming and being like, this is really cool and so on. And then the seafloor moved as a ray of some sort came up, out of where it had been parked.
Mm-hmm.
And my late father, may he rest in peace, said, I came out of the water like, I was being chased by the hounds of hell.
Mm.
It was, and I remember it was a acute experience of this is alien, right? This is something, and it's different. Like when you see them on TV or in an aquarium, it's like, oh no, you live here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't be here,
right?
And that sense of just, here's something that's perfectly adapted to its environment and absolutely cognitively dissonant to everything, right? It's just like things don't move like that. Things don't look like that. Mm-hmm. And when you have the separation of a wall or glass or a screen, mm-hmm. right, we can detach and you can disassociate. Yes. When you are there on its patch, it's like, oh, I'm going now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will never forget that sense. And then, several years later, I was at college. My parents went on a cruise, and dad went swimming and he got stung by multiple jellyfish. I don't know
Yeah.
what the species was, and ended up hospitalized for like
Oh,
a week and a half after, like he nearly died.
wow.
And so like those two things, like jellyfish, manta ray, sort of hammered home to me. It's like, yeah, you know what? I'm adapted to land. Right? That's my job is land. I'll do land. That's land works. I'm good on land. I'm good on
Oh
land.
my gosh.
So yeah, this is
It's
my deep-seated antipathy towards jellyfish as a result of this.
yeah,
So,
no,
yeah,
I being stung by a jellyfish is no joke. It feels like a knife is slicing your leg.
yeah,
It's not fun. It's
yeah.
definitely
You've had this.
yes. I mean,
Yeah,
Florida, we're at beaches growing up, and
yeah,
it's just kind of, I think a lot of people here have felt that. It really did. It does feel like and these are tiny ones because you're not far from, these aren't like
yeah,
the jellyfish, but so I can only imagine. But they also have like a huge reach. Like I heard, oh, that one's like 50 feet away and it can still sting you or something crazy. So you're just
yeah.
going, what? Like, again, we do not belong there. That is their
Yeah, I
world in a
mean,
sense, right?
yeah,
Like it's like,
and
well,
mind
they have a
you,
right. They have a
the
right. They're protecting their home.
and it's not. This is not me saying exploration. No point. I'm
Of
not.
course.
It's
Yes.
none of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw a thing yesterday saying that a paper had been released, um, saying that phosphorus had been detected in the water on Enceladus, right, on Saturn's moon,
Yeah.
Enceladus. And this is crucial because they had found all these other chemicals in the Cassini flyby.
Mm.
Um, and many of them are organic chemicals. They're required for organic life. And they hadn't found detectable phosphorus. And a new study of, I think, the E ring of Saturn, which is made up of ice from Enceladus, right? Like
Mm.
Enceladus has these geysers, and that ice freezes and falls into orbit around Saturn. It creates one of the rings. And an analysis of that had like found detectable levels of phosphorus, like significantly detectable enough.
Right.
And this doesn't prove anything, but it's yet more numbers in the equation of there may be certainly there are the building blocks of there may be life on Enceladus,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of awesome. I'm all for that kind of exploration.
Right.
I just am not sure I would want to live on Enceladus, I guess is what I'm saying. So I wouldn't mind visiting briefly, but yeah, I know that there are people wired differently than I am. I know there are people who love scuba diving and so on.
Yeah.
I find it wildly uncomfortable. Yeah, I don't know
Yes.
why. It's
So
just me. That's not my place. Not my
yeah,
place.
we're the same. And this is really interesting because we're 15 minutes in, and I'm not sure if like
Say
hello,
hello,
hello
hello.
now is
Yeah,
like a
say
thing.
hello, hello.
I'll totally
You're
like
just
hello,
gonna,
hello.
yeah,
I'm just
hello,
gonna
hello.
go right in. I'm
There
gonna
you go.
pre-roll to like Greg going, oh my gosh, we're going deeper into the abyss, and then it'll
So yeah,
cut to my
let's make
intro.
it clear.
And then I'll just pick up it's just funny because I tell Oscar, I'm like, yeah, I've got Greg today. It's so awesome. Naturally, I've done no notes. He's like, and why would you at this point? You guys
Yeah,
just
and this
talking
is
is pretty much it. And he's
this
like,
is different how.
I
Here,
know.
you know what I'm gonna do? I am
So-
gonna, and this way you can include it when you post it. Here,
yeah.
I am sending you the link to
Of
this.
course you are. Of course you are.
What? Because
Evil
it's part
laugh.
part of what we were talking about, right?
It is. It is. And when you talk about the scuba diving, I think I've shared this story before because I think you and I have probably touched on this as we have many things, but like Oscar and I had it as this bright idea that we thought it would be something we would love. As a child, I loved snorkeling, being in Florida, going to the Caribbean all the time. I love the water, but only to which I feel like I'm in control of. And then, but we go to the Caribbean all the time because of these cruises and things. And so I'm like, oh, it would
You're
be great
close.
to get scuba certified. And I'll tell you what, someone we knew was a master diver, so was doing private stuff. We hated it. I felt so claustrophobic,
Really?
and we weren't even
Did
like in the deep
Oscar
ocean.
didn't like it either?
He didn't like it either. He's
Really?
a Brooklyn boy. I mean, he's the concrete jungle.
Yeah, nothing
they
here is
barely
tall
made
enough.
it. Yeah, they barely made it to the YMCA pool. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no water in his upbringing. So like I love the ocean and stuff, but I'm very apprehensive. Like when we were in Australia, I was like, because I've watched every Discovery Channel, I wouldn't even go in the ocean there because I was so scared everything would kill me. So I should tell Nicola that. So I'm definitely afraid. So yeah, that claustrophobic feeling.
You'll get to do it in person at Rose City. You'll be able to say, I will stand right there and I'll say, tell her.
Tell her, tell her what you think of her country.
Exactly. Yeah.
All the animals there are deadly.
Well, I am hoping to move there soon enough. So
what?
Yeah. So yeah, I'll have to adapt.
Oh my goodness.
That is always it's been a goal. It has been a goal. So yeah.
Wow.
We will see. You and I will have to find an interesting time to schedule these talks when that happens.
It can work. It'll be
your
morning, my night, or vice versa. You know, it'll work. It's just the math. The math is
it's the math that'll do it to you.
So there's like a nice little app that I found online, or a website I found online that helped me when I scheduled Nicola's, because I was like, okay, I don't want to look like an idiot. Like how many hours are we going? But it's hard. Yeah.
If you have an iPhone, you can, just set up your different clocks for like wherever you want to be.
Yeah, so there's the world clock, right? And then but you still have to count the number. So if I go, okay, but I want to do 10 a.m. All right, so what time is
but
that?
the cool thing, if I remember correctly.
Like for the calendar, you mean? Yeah.
No, I mean like in the clock app.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you open up a world clock and like you pick, say, Sydney, it'll say tomorrow plus 17 hours from where I am.
Yeah.
Right, so it's tomorrow plus 20 from where you are.
14. It says
14. Yeah. Oh, you went the other way.
Because I'm the other way. Yeah.
Right. So there you go.
Yeah, but there's still math involved.
There's still math. Oh no.
I know. You're overestimating me, Greg.
Look, I've been we've talked about the fact that I am a science nerd. I'm a physics nerd.
Yes.
I know just enough to be dangerous and not understand anything. Right. But that doesn't stop me from like, this is the thing that I consume as sort of my, it's recreational pleasure. Right. And I was just watching, I've had a lot of calls today and in like the half an hour between my last one and you and I getting on, I had looked at YouTube for some reason and was looking at, where is it? Let me find it. Oh, I gotta go to my. You would think their website would be a little easier to use, and it isn't.
Oh, YouTube heard you. Now it's going to start sending you like tutorials.
Oh, they're just horrible to me anyway. Yeah, and it's not coming up on this because it isn't updated. I was looking at a Veritasium on I want to say it's the Golan's problem.
You might as well be speaking like
French
right now. I'm like, what?
Look, I am a supporter of PBS space time.
I am interested. So educate me, sir.
No, it's just I keep having these moments where I'm like, okay, literally the vacuum cleaner is right over me. I hear the vacuum,
but or over. Earlier,
I'll just keep going.
Earlier, I thought it was the submarine sound, the descending sounds. I was like, wow, that shit is really realistic. I was like,
no, this is.
You do sound like you're underwater.
We're going to annoy everybody who hears this. All I was saying is that, so I look at all these things and I find them fascinating and I try to read up on them. And then I go, oh, yeah, I don't understand that at all. but I can barely get sort of the edges of it. Like,
I
did you
don't
hear?
know.
Did you see?
And now science.
Did you see? In like the last week, and this was big science news, right? They're saying that Betelgeuse may go supernova in our lifetime.
No, I did not know
So,
this.
so Betelgeuse, right, which is the storied star from which Ford Prefect is from the neighborhood of.
Not the 1980s Michael Keaton movie.
No.
Okay.
Apparently, like JWST's latest observations with some analysis have indicated that the star has been sort of pulsing, it's been dimming and so on. And the analysis is in the spectrographic analysis is that the star has reached the stage where it's now starting to eat its own carbon, right? So it's running out of fuel. And in star health, for lack of a better way, star lifetimes, right?
Right.
You can go billions of years just going like hydrogen, great stuff, right? But once you start exhausting the hydrogen and you start going to the heavier elements, it starts going faster and faster and faster, right? Because the process of consumption and the way that gravity is reforming these elements, right? It kicks up. And when you hit iron is when the star goes, right, show's over. and that's literally kablooey.
Yeah.
And carbon is not a long step. And so bearing in mind that the light we're seeing is like, I don't even know how far Betelgeuse is away, but it's like, again, I could quickly Google this and go, how far is Betelgeuse? But that light being however old it is, it may have already gone. In which case, this may be like the first supernova visible from Earth, like I think since the 1600s. I think it was the last time like it was actually visibly seen.
Right. I was going to ask.
And
you,
we're well outside of the danger zone, right? Like we don't have to worry about, but
Armageddon.
Well, all the fun things that happen when the universe has a Tuesday, but it's kind of a cool thought. Like of course, and the way the media being the media is, right? They'll take detected this could mean this, and the headline now goes, Betelgeuse goes supernova tomorrow, and that's not what's going to happen, right? It could be anytime in the next 50 to 100 years, but there's a chance this may happen in our lifetimes. We may be able to look up at the night sky and go, that's awfully bright, and have a detectable second light in the sky during the daytime. And maybe it's sort of the flip side of all that deep sea stuff we were talking about, right? Yeah. Because like that, whatever that ray was that basically said, you don't belong here, Greg, right? I can have a sense of wonder about it, but it is overridden by my sense of get the hell away from me. Yeah. And this is kind of that would be kind of, to me, that would be kind of magical, right? Yeah. That would be a kind of magical thing to be able to say, we are in this moment where we get to witness this thing.
So what's funny is as soon as you started talking about the submarine, and then now you're talking about space, and you're talking about like supernovas, I mean, I keep saying in my head, it was just like, it makes me, this is weird, but it makes me miss Lazarus, because I would love reading when you're like, and now science, because that was when I got to learn anything about science, because I'm not as motivated as you. Yeah, I'm not as motivated where I'm like going to go research it on my own. I will on occasion click on the little Discord science thing and go, okay, what are they talking about? Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, I have nothing to contribute here. So I
You
won't
don't
even
have to.
pretend.
No, so one of the things I love about our Discord, and I genuinely love it, is that the cross section of interests and people. And I love the fact that, there's something, we have almost 1,000 members now.
Wow.
And I love the fact that I can say, anybody here tell me about 3D resin printing? And within a minute have like, oh yeah, take a look at this, and I would look at this, and it's like,
Okay.
so the cross section of folks from around the world on the server and their areas of not even expertise, their areas of passion.
Yes, yes.
Right? Like there's always going to be discussion in comics, right? There are people always talking about the latest comics thing, or here's the latest Marvel show, or did you see this movie? There's always going to be that. But I love that we have some super knowledgeable people about electric vehicles, for instance.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like we've got a writer, we've got a journalist who is at Ars Technica, who can speak with a great deal of authority about automobiles.
Okay,
There are a raft of programmers, right? We've got the graphic design contingent. We've got cooks, right? We have chefs who want to share their recipes.
Yes.
And I do love the ability to be able to sort of go like, hey, anybody see this thing? It is the flip side problem of also going, I'm curious about X, and then you get more information than you know what to do with by way of an answer. And it's like, you gotta say, it's like when I talk to Oz, right? When I talk to Oz about anything regarding network security, it's like, dude, just tell me what to type where. Right? Because I don't get it. Right? You get it, you understand it, and bless you for it. I mean, bless you for it, seriously. But me, I'm just like, I just want to make computer go now.
Yes.
So.
No, I hear you. Yes, it is fascinating. And that is what's kind of cool about it, because it's an international place.
It's really neat.
You can go, right? And everybody's cool. But
I
right,
also
lots of comics.
I also don't think I didn't hear the very gentle I miss Lazarus unspoken when's it coming back.
No, you were really clear to me, but you may want to reiterate for our listeners.
Yeah, I will reiterate. So for those of you who hate my guts for making you wait, I'm going to make you wait. Michael is now drawing the 3rd issue of Lazarus Fallen. He is moving more quickly than he had been, which is great. We seem to have figured out one of the things that there were a couple things in sort of our production line that were slowing things down.
Okay.
I had been thinking, I think I had said we were going to go 12 to 14 for the last issues. And I was writing the latest script going, I think I can do it in 12. And now I'm in this place where I'm like, I'm probably going to need 13 or 14.
Okay.
Once we have 8, we will solicit. So we are, look, we're another 8 to 12 months from soliciting.
That's fine.
That's not when we wanted to be back, but I really, really, really want us to release these last issues monthly.
When you have
I would love if we could do it without a trade break. I mean, I would love it if we could say, like, here is a year and a half, or just under a year and a half, you get the issues monthly.
Yeah.
And we're going. But I'm at this place now where, and this is why The Forged is on the schedule it is, right? Mike is drawing the first issue of the 3rd arc.
Okay.
Right? Like that's or he's about to. We haven't even, like, we just solicited the first issue of that arc. So we're far enough ahead And I'm not, what the, stop that. Apparently I've started a workout while sitting here. I don't, the worst thing that happened with creator ownership for me was, and it's the trade-off. When you work at the big two, the issues come out monthly or they kill you. Right. And by kill you, I mean they fire you and get somebody who will do it.
Yeah.
When you're doing creator ownership, you're not talking about rotating art teams and so on. Everything's got to be done by the same people. And the flip side of that is that it means you can, the schedule can give. And because the schedule can give, it does.
Right.
And I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do that. I don't want us to go, here's an issue, and now you're going to wait 6 months for another issue.
I think this is a good plan.
I'm going to be eternally grateful, and I really mean this, to the fans who have been patient and willing to wait. That is incredibly generous of them. And so many say, we'll get it when we get it. We want it to be good. Do what you're doing. And I am grateful for that, and I appreciate that. But it's also a periodical medium, and we're not meeting that. Right? We're not releasing periodicals. We're releasing annuals, So and like I said, I think and it's interesting. I had an interesting conversation this week with David Macho, who is basically, he's sort of our interface with Santi, because Santi's in Spain, right? And being able to tell David, you can tell Santi, this is it. Like, this is what we're doing. This is the plan. And wanting to like get everybody on board for these last issues and be like, no, we're gonna end this thing. It's gonna end. It's gonna end.
Yes.
And hopefully end well. But I want these issues I want them to be the best they can be. And I think part of that being the best they can be is also being there when we say they're going to be there. I mean, it's hard, making these things is not easy.
No.
And that's not me asking everybody to get out their tiny violins for me, but it is acknowledging, look, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
That's right. Say that all the time.
Yeah,
very true. It's very true. No, I'm good about being patient. Like, that's fine. Because in all honesty, you're like, oh, it could be 12 or 14. I'm like, make it be 14. Because it's like, in some ways, I don't want it to end. I want more. Yeah. Because I know I'll be so sad. So in some ways, I'm like, okay, we're in a holding pattern. So I know it won't be over.
It's entirely me figuring out. So much of Lazarus has always been about, what do we need to see? Right? Because God, it would be a lot of fun to go, hey, let's do 3 issues, in India.
Yeah.
Right. And see what's going on.
You too. Yeah.
But that is not related directly to what's going on with Forever and so on. So, it really is me sitting there going, what do we need here? What has to happen here? And that's why I keep going back and forth on how many numbers, because I was talking to Michael last week and I was like, I think it's gonna have to be 14. I don't know, but I kind of wanted it to do 12. I think it may be 14. I think it may be 14, or maybe it'll be like 13 with I would love to do like a double-sized last issue or something.
Yes.
But we'll see.
We'll see. All right. Well, we will see. We will see. And we will patiently await. It's funny because I still talk about it all the time. People are like, oh, I was like, but just maybe wait.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe just wait. Don't
Not done
start
yet.
just yet,
Not done
because
yet.
then you'll really have the payoff. So yeah,
Look,
but I talk about it all the time.
I kind of am excited about the prospect of being able to read the whole thing when it's done, and be able to go, yeah, that's a lot. It's when it's
amazing.
finished, it's going to come out to the equivalent of probably about 70, 80 issues worth of a comic. Right? If you take all of the issues of Risen, all of those are double sized. So you say 14. Okay, so maybe 80, probably closer to 60. Right. But still, that's not a bad run of books. That's not a bad shape for a story. And my hat is off to, all these people who have successfully been able to be like, no, I've got 150, 200, issues of my creator owned series. It's like, wow. I don't know how you did that. So.
Timing is a lot. Not that we're making excuses, but I mean that whole pandemic thing didn't really help.
Yeah, no, it didn't help. It didn't help.
Creativity. I mean, some people, it was like it gave them this moment of like, oh great, I have no other distractions. And some people, it was just so much emotionally. So it's like you can't even expect to find creativity in that. So that certainly didn't help. But we are patiently awaiting. Not to worry. We're not to worry.
Well,
there
you
are
are.
other things.
We won't speak for everybody else, but I'm glad you are.
But you know what? They're gonna have to wait, and they'll love it, and they'll love it when it comes out. They may be a little bitter about it, but I mean,
they'll be salty.
Tell me, yeah, but they'll get over it. They'll have to get over it, because at the end of the day, it's a comic. You know what I mean? We're not like, hey, the cure for cancer's on hold because I haven't been up to it. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, everybody.
Absolutely.
They'll be fine. Their entertainment can, there's too many other things. And you've got the Forged right now and everything, which I'm well behind on, and I still haven't had the guys on and been able to catch up with. Math there too. Yeah.
But you're gonna be out here at Rose City.
So maybe we can do something.
Mike
live.
and Eric. Yeah, Mike and Eric will be here. So
what chances do we have of dragging Michael to Portland?
Nil. Not gonna happen this year.
All right.
Not gonna happen this year.
Selfishness is like, well, this might be a good time to get all my books and get them all signed proper. Like I have the first one.
Next year? Next year?
I can wait because, as long as there will be the hardcovers. And so as I saw like, oh, now they're all released and everything.
Yeah, they're back.
I'm not like a collector-y kind of person anyway, but like, of course I need to have like the ultimate of that when it's time. But it's funny looking in the Discord, everyone's like showing me the spine covers. I'm like, oh, this and this map.
Yeah, all the different editions.
All the different editions. And I'm like, all right, I'll just have to wait and get all of it anyway at the one time. So it's kind of funny. We were talking about your work and everything, because you're a writer and all that, and that's why you originally came on the show. Although I love talking science and hearing anything you have to say, but Oscar was like, yeah, the other night I was up late, gonna go to sleep, and then I was like, oh, let me read something, and then I made the mistake because it was supposed to be like kind of a calming, like get me to get to sleep.
What
and
did
I
he
guess
pick
he told
up?
me I was reading Private Wars. I was like,
Oh,
what is
wow.
that? He's like, oh, that's by Greg Rucka. I'm like, well, you're not going to sleep reading his stuff because you get all into it. And so anyway, I just thought you'd find that funny. And he's like, yeah, then it was like 2:30 in the morning. I was like, well, it's your fault.
Yeah,
you should have been listening to like, someone read.
That one's a dark ride. That's the second Queen and Country novel. That one's a dark ride.
Okay. That's what he's reading. Cause I was like, but yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to read it.
No, you know this. Yeah, you know this.
No,
so that's
no,
why I was like, I don't even know what you're reading.
You absolutely don't want to read it. Like this one is this should have trigger warnings on it.
It's like Walking Dead for me, like that, or even more so.
At least in Walking Dead, Walking Dead describes horrible things that have happened to people. You don't witness it.
Okay. Yeah.
Private Wars, you bear witness.
Ooh, okay.
To some really nasty human behavior. And I don't.
Yeah. So listeners are going, Greg's telling her not to read his book. Just so you know, listeners, like I can't handle that stuff. So,
no,
but if Oscar were listening, he's going to be done before this airs, but he would be like this makes me want to read it even more. That we're so opposite that way. Like that makes him just want to read it more. He doesn't mind being in that world, and just like it doesn't
see
he likes
the
I guess
last
crime
run.
fiction is his favorite
Yeah,
thing.
the last run I think you would enjoy actually, because it doesn't have, there is a lot of what's going on in the psychology of a couple of characters, is about these very messed up power dynamics and sexual relationships and so on. And the last run is just, watching Tara have to get out of a horrible situation by being an utter badass. So
right. So I'll just get to the action scenes.
Well, it's got that last war has one of my favorite Tara Chase bits I've ever written, which is she gets shot in it.
Okay.
And basically has to by herself diagnose like the tension pneumothorax she has, and has to then resolve it, including let the air out of the chest cavity, and then have to makeshift a bandage and get it on herself, and the wound is not conveniently placed. Like the wound isn't like, oh, okay, they shot me here. The wound is literally in her back where she can't reach it. Right. So she's like, I now have to do this before I run out of air and set this up in a way and hope I can lie down on it. Right. So, but yeah. So,
yep. Well, so that's Oscar's night reading, if anybody was curious, so that you guys all know that that's what he reads at night. But but it was funny because we talked a lot about the Discord on this episode, which is kind of nice because it is a really great community for those who aren't on yet, but love Greg Rucka and all the things, or want to hear more about science.
You don't even need to love me if you just want to hang out with a really bunch of cool, friendly people.
But like, I like rarely give my 2 cents about anything, and I logged in the other day. I'm like, Spider-Man was the most amazing thing I've seen in forever, and Nimona. Okay, bye. I just had to say that. Well, because I remember like whatever it was a year or two ago, they're like, yeah, Nimona will never come out. It's stuck in the, in between, and it's on the shelf. It'll never release. And then all of a sudden, my friend sent a thing, was like, oh, it's coming out. I was like, what? Because I loved that book so much, and it was so sweet and fun. And then so I was able to watch it, so that was good, and I really enjoyed it.
I still haven't seen the new Spider-Verse. I gotta see it. Everybody makes that noise when I say I haven't seen it yet.
It's odd that I have, to be honest, because I don't.
I have heard theater. nothing but good things about it.
Yes, and yes.
There's just not been a negative word.
I mean, you like the first one, yes?
Yeah, I thought the first one was fabulous.
Yes, I mean, those are our favorite, Oscar and I, our favorite Marvel films. Period. Yeah. Like, it's just, to us, nothing really comes close. But I think he always loved Spider-Man anyway. But like, the whole Brooklyn thing and the whole Miles Morales thing, I think that doesn't hurt, but it doesn't matter. I mean, just the feelings that you get, and when you finish watching it, we'll talk more. Because I have talked to, like, I call him Comic Book Pete from Paper Asylum, my comic book store. That's my local store that's in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
That's where I get my comic books. And, someone who's been doing this so long, like what he shared was so interesting for me, because I haven't been a lifelong comic book reader, right? But like him sharing what he shared regarding what he saw in that and the feelings, like, oh my gosh. But just as a viewer, it's phenomenal. So yes, we'll have to talk about it when you do watch it, because get to the theater. Like
absolutely.
All right. Like tonight I have plans. Date night,
not tonight. Not tonight.
All right, tomorrow night. I'll take tomorrow.
Tonight is family night. Tonight is family night. And tomorrow night's Shabbat. But
okay.
Saturday night's a Timbers game, so maybe Sunday.
Okay.
Maybe Sunday.
Maybe it'll be Sunday. A weekend movie. That's good. Yeah, I rarely get to the theater, and Oscar rarely asks to do anything ever, and like that's all he's wanted to see. So I was like, we're gonna go, and we went last week. So he was super excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, Yeah, so it was really good, and it made us happy. So yeah, I rarely log in to say very much, you know. So I was like, but I mean, I am curious to know what you thought of Ted Lasso.
I
'Cause
haven't watched it yet.
Oh, no wonder. I was like, because I haven't seen you make comments.
No,
Okay.
haven't watched it yet.
Okay. And you don't have
We
any of your subscriptions? Did you already cancel everything?
we still have Apple TV because that's
Okay.
hard to get rid of right now. I mean, it's just very it's integral to everything else we're doing. We've cut
Right, with the
everything else at this
apples.
point.
Yeah.
Which kind of hurt because cutting just before Strange New Worlds came back was painful.
Mm.
Um, but then the flip side is their app sucks. So I give and take.
Yeah.
We so the way we don't I don't know when this happened, but at a certain point we stopped watching TV as a thing that we sat down and did to watch together. Right?
Okay.
That's just not the way we consume. And so we don't consume actually a lot. It tends to be like we're going to watch this thing at this time.
Mm.
And right now, because the kids are home, right, for summer, watching stuff needs to be something everybody's happy to watch together. And that also means then that it has to be stuff that they haven't already watched.
Mm.
So it's going to be the fall before Jen and I watch Ted Lasso. Like
Wow, the fall.
Dashel will
Okay.
have to go back to school
Okay.
before we can sit down and watch Ted Lasso. At which point we'll be able to watch all of it. Right.
Yes. Yes.
You know, so
I'm okay with
and
that.
I've
I
done
need you to
actually
just go watch Spider-Man.
yeah. Well, and I've done a very good job of like I muted everything, you know.
Oh,
It's
right.
like
Not
I don't want to
long.
know.
But
I don't want to
honestly, it
know.
hasn't been like robust conversation. It's just, but yeah, I did go in and make a comment there. But yeah, otherwise I'm pretty silent on
Yeah,
that.
you should be more active on the Discord.
I know. I'm not it's just
You're not
I
a
know
chatty Cathy.
not on in that I'm very chatty now, as you can see. You know? Even texting, like one of my friends just loves to text, and
Yeah.
I prefer a phone call or a face. You know, I prefer because I think for such a long time in my life, I've been very misunderstood by my emails or because I'm generally I guess abrasive person, and so maybe when they read things about me, what I'm writing, they're taking it in the worst possible way.
Abrasive is not an
No,
adjective I
that's
would
not how
use
you
to
see me.
describe you. No, I mean genuinely, Mimi, that is absolutely not an adjective I would use to describe you. But I do get that, and I do, you know, I have friends who want to have these long text conversations, and it's like, remember we used to call each other on the phone, right? I mean, and I will look, I'll take face to face any day.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
You know,
100%. I'm much.
And I'm not good at the long text conversations. Like, and the other thing that happens, this is the other problem I have with texting, right? Texting doesn't acknowledge even phones, which are rude, right? Phones will ring when you are doing something else. The problem with a text is that it's so insistent. And if I am working and somebody starts texting me,
yeah,
it literally like I've now gotten to the point where I'm like, this has to go into do not disturb and so on, because I need to be able to focus. And you know, I have a couple friends slash loved ones who will text and very clearly it'll be a conversational text, and literally it's like, I am working right now. Right, just because I am not building a car, right, or whatnot, does not mean that my time is being spent frittering. I am doing the thing I need to do to make a living.
Right.
So forgive me if I don't drop everything to type out a conversation with you when I should be figuring out how, you know, Forever and Sonia, you know, don't kill each other or whatnot. So
Yeah, I it's just not my preferred method of communication. And so, but I've learned to adapt. And then if I'm at my computer, it's a lot easier because then I'm like, okay, I'll type. But most of the time I'm using voice anyway. So, but I
Yeah.
thought you would also find it funny because, I'm not really huge on social media anyway. Compared to you, I'm like huge on social media because I'm on ever,
You're a
right?
social media god.
Yeah, compared to some like that don't ever turn it on, Greg Rucka. But one is our last podcast just dropped this week, and my team, there was like just a huge disconnect. So it's like I don't even have all the assets yet, but the podcast is live, but the YouTube hopefully is uploaded by today. So I haven't sent you anything.
I did
I'm
see
like,
it. I did see that the YouTube was up.
oh, it
Yeah.
was okay because I was like, not that you would maybe know from social media if it's on or not.
No,
but
because like I said, I had been on YouTube, so it was in my feed.
oh, that's why you're like, hey, that's me.
Yeah, that pretty much was it. It was like, it was the same reaction I had to the Heart of Stone trailer. I was like, hey,
Well,
that's my name all over it.
This is what's funny is every couple weeks I turn on the Twitter because I'll be like, hey, this is happening with the bill, or hey, this is going on with the AAPI. And somebody tagged me and said, I guess this is the surprise I get for falling off Greg Rucka's chats with Sifu Mimi Chan, Heart of Stone trailer. So I was like, oh yeah, right. And then there's that. I was like, we hardly even talk about that because we're talking about submarines and science and
Well, I mean,
into the ocean.
it was a while ago.
Right.
I mean,
we have talked about it like, I don't remember when, last year sometime.
I think maybe that gig started in, this gives you an idea how long it takes to make a movie. I want to say it was like spring. No, it was like January 2019 that like that job happened. Right. And that script went through 2019 into 2020, I think, before Allison came on, because I have the story by credit and I have a screenplay by credit. But the way that works, the credits read very confusingly because that makes it seem like Allison Schroeder and I sat in a room together and wrote this thing. That's not what happened. I did like 3 drafts off of their notes, right? I did an initial and a second and a third, and then I did a polish, at which point they said, thank you for your work. And they hired Allison, right? And that was all well and good. That's fine, right? And then Allison did all this work, and then they went into production. And then during production, right, other people come in. They can you do this bit? Can you rewrite this bit? So when it goes before the WGA, there's actually a procedure to decide who gets what credit for what. Right. Right. And there are standards that have to be met. Right. You have to hit certain bars to achieve certain credit statuses. So I've read the final screenplay, right? I've read what was submitted. I still haven't seen it. I was talking to the producers actually yesterday, and they're really happy. And I'm excited to see it, right? Because the story that I wrote is there. The shape of the world is mine, right? Those things are there. Yeah. There, characters were changed. They renamed characters. There's dialogue. They're different. They added scenes. They changed motivations for some of these things. And it's like, okay, fine, right? That's not how I would have done it, but it's what was done. That's not a bad nor a good thing, right? What I find interesting, and which I didn't really understand until I started working in Hollywood, is like, you will literally sit down, watch a movie, and it'll say screenplay by Sarah Johnson, right? And that doesn't actually mean that the thing you're seeing is what Sarah Johnson wrote, right? The thing you are seeing may have been rewritten constantly top to bottom throughout production and post-production by a whole bunch of people who are not writers but think they are. And at the end of the day, Sarah's name, because she was the one who started it, is the name on it at the end. Even if Sarah then sits in the theater and says, where did the talking lamprey come from? Right? There was no talking lamprey in my script, right? That's not what happened in my story, right? They were supposed to live happily ever after. He wasn't supposed to murder her.
Right.
And I thus have an enormous sympathy now when I see certain movies get hammered and then people go after the writer. And it's like,
okay.
The writer didn't do that, right? The studio did that, or the director did that, or an actor decided they didn't want to play it that way.
Right.
Like it is a cliche, but writers are like, of the above the line names in the industry, writers are the lowest of the low. Mm-hmm. Everybody tells you, we need you and we love what you do. And you're the first person they ignore and disregard and go, everybody thinks they can do it better than you.
Right.
I can think of a director who literally arbitrarily was changing lines because she thought things sounded better. And literally in these changes, didn't understand what she was changing. Like literally, you can't substitute a different city, right? You can't put in Reykjavik for Paris. You can't do it. Paris was there for a reason. And I'm glad you think Reykjavik sounds cooler, but maybe asking why it was there, because now you've just literally reduced this to nonsense. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, the writer is the person who's going to be the one who looks like an idiot.
Right. Yes. 100%.
You see what I mean?
I'm always the person to be like, this writing's horrible.
Yeah. Nobody's going to sit there and go, oh, the director changed that on the day of the shooting because they thought it sounded better.
Yeah. No.
And, that's not I have, in the course of now 30 plus years of career, written in a variety of medium.
Yes.
Right. I have been all over the board. And far and away, movie writing is the one with the absolute least agency. Like, movie writing is a process, unless you are a writer director, where you are it's a service industry job. Mm-hmm. The best way to
really have the power to.
Yeah, and to such an extent, it's literally it really is a service industry job. It's literally somebody saying, "I am giving you this order," and then you try to fulfill the order as best as you can, and then they go into the kitchen and they decide that, you know what? I know you made the hollandaise sauce the way you're supposed to make a hollandaise sauce, but I'm going to add this, that, and the other thing. It's like, well, you broke the sauce. And then they walk out again, right? Leaving you there going, okay, so now everybody thinks I don't know how to cook. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It is a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a thing. Exactly. I mean, I think, and we're out of time, but I definitely think next time I want to kind of ask you a little more about that, because it's like, is it better then to be like not the screenwriter on something that you kind of have ownership over, or is it better to just like, all right, someone else?
Well, but they all fulfill different needs, right? Like if I wanted absolute control, I'd write novels, right? But writing novels are very painful for me. They're a difficult, isolating process.
Yeah.
So and a novel ultimately comes down entirely to the author. It is the author's ability to execute. I can have the best idea in the world, but if I can't make the words do what I want them to do on the page, it's a problem, right? So I work in comics, that's collaborative. So I can have the clearest vision in my mind, but Michael Lark has his own mind. Nicola Scott has her own mind. Mike Henderson has his own mind, right? Eric and I can put a script in front of Henderson and we can give him the best description that we want of something. And Eric and I, maybe through some act of, God, see it exactly the same way. Mike's not gonna. And that's not even talking about how Mike is going to do his job or how Michael is going to do his job, right? Which is, you're asking for a thing. I have to worry about where the light is falling, the time of year, the props in the scene, the best angle for it, how I captured this moment. So you are sacrificing something in a collaboration, but ideally you're making something that's greater than the sum of its parts. And at least there you are in a place, it's certainly in creator-owned comics, where you can go, that's not quite right? Like, I can give up this thing in my head. You need to, because otherwise you'll go crazy. You say, that's great. We really need this piece of information, right? Or this didn't execute right. Can we fix it?
Right.
Okay, no problem. Talking about a movie, and you're talking about 1,000 people are working on one project that is going to be costing how many millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. And everybody is motivated by fear at a high level, right? What happens if I screw this up? What happens if I never get to do this again, right? What if they blame me? And also everybody, you need a very powerful center of gravity to fulfill a vision, unless that vision is going to be a collaborative vision, which is why you have auteur theory, right? Which is why a Nolan movie is always going to be a Nolan movie, right? And, Rian Johnson now has that gravity. Rian Johnson's going to write it and direct it. And, 90% of the time, maybe he's going to get what he wants out of it. He will make it what he wants it to be.
Yeah.
But even then, and it's an arbitrary percentage, but there's 10% that is the studio saying, well, you can't do that. We don't like that. You need to change that. And that's a sliding scale. In some cases, the studio may be 70%. The studio may look at a cut and say, we hate it, do all these things. And be like, but that's not the story we were telling. Doesn't matter. That's the story we want to sell. So.
Challenges.
Yes. And on that cheerful note, we should talk next week.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely talk next week. It was a pretty cheerful podcast, though.
Oh, it's always delightful talking to you. Come on. We should open up questions next week on the Discord or something.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's open up questions.
Or really crazy, we should schedule one of these live.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be crazy. We do that.
We could do
we
it.
Do a live chat.
I've done the live chat and I can figure out the technologies for it now, but it's been a minute. But yeah, we should do that. We should try that. Schedule it with the all your fans,
Yeah, both of them. You and Oscar.
We're just your biggest fans. You've got 1,000 minimum.
That's not creepy at all. Okay. They're not that. This is no. Don't fall for that. Don't fall for that. That's how you start believing that your shit doesn't stink.
No, but it's,
you know what I mean? It's like there's 1,000 people that came here from. No, they didn't.
Oh,
they didn't.
But you were definitely the catalyst. Your work is the catalyst.
No.
It's called Lazarus.
Yeah, it's also in the back of the Forge. Maybe they're there because they think Henderson draws really, really awesome comics.
Right. I'm not saying you're the sole reason.
Okay, but
yes.
No, this isn't false modesty. This is defense. Okay,
all right. I know we have to go, but what is this thing that people think the Lazarus Discord is, but it isn't?
I think they think it's a programming language.
A programming, because I'm always
every now and then we get somebody coming in with a very technical question, and we're like, yeah,
what is happening? Okay. All right. Well, then on that note,
and I'm still amazed by the number of people who end up in the new user portion of the server and cannot figure out
how to get
out. They need to read the rules and type in the thing that it says to type in to get access to the rest of the server. Like that amazes me. The number of people who just can't seem to, they're like, why can't I'm not seeing anything. It's like, read the message, man. So, all right. Anyway.
All right. So until next time, listeners, we're going to do something live. We're going to do something with questions.
Eventually.
This is going to take some planning.
It may not be next time, but eventually.
Eventually. So keep listening. Yeah, that's it. All right. We'll see you soon.
Mwah.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Please subscribe and rate my podcast on your platform of choice and leave a review. You can become a patron of the show at patreon.com/SifuMimiChan to help keep this podcast going. Follow me and interact on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.